how do you get that information? Do you just send them emails individually, or do they just chime in and
No,
put their 2 cents in, or what?
surprisingly, some people just call and put their 2 cents in. Like,
That's
there's some,
funny.
there's a,
That's
so
funny.
Exactly what I'm thinking.
like,
What's up, everybody? Chauncey Jennings here
And Liliana Fidua.
with the Luminary panel, and we're super excited for number 4 in our episodes. Number 4.
Number 4. We're excited.
That's crazy. This one is going to be just as impactful as the last one. We have Mr. Dwayne Kent, the owner and founder of the ARC Network Group, and we're excited to have him on.
Before we get started, make sure you guys follow us on all social media platforms at Luminary Panel. We would love if you guys like, comment, and share this video. And make sure you subscribe to our channel so you don't miss a beat as we continuously grow.
Yes, sir. Without further ado, Mr. Dwayne Kent. Dwayne.
Hello.
What's up?
How are you two doing?
How you feeling, man?
We're great.
I am doing good. I'm doing good. I meant to jump on 10 minutes before, but I just got out of a meeting, so I do apologize about that.
You're
You're
good,
fine. We know how it goes, so that's totally good.
So we're excited to have you on as our guest. We appreciate you giving us your access to your journey, being vulnerable with us. Allow the audience to get to know you a little bit deeper. Tell them who you are and what your business does.
Perfect. I'm Dwayne Kent, and I'm actually the founder of the ARC Network Group. And what we do is we help bridge the gap between individuals and their business goals.
Yeah.
So we work in your business while you work on your business. So we do things like social media management, content management, website development, business strategists. But one of the biggest things that individuals love us for is we help our clients get more clients, which turn into money.
Nice.
And also,
Amazing.
Can't
and then
go wrong with
also,
that.
yes, facts. That's what we all need. And then the other thing is we also host events as well. Like we have a Black Tie Gala coming up actually on September the 23rd.
Yes, sir. I plan on being there.
Yes.
Look at that.
Get your tickets. Get your tickets. Get your tickets.
We got to promo that event for sure.
Please.
Everyone go there. So since you've been in the networking world yourself, can you explain the importance of mentorship and networking in the entrepreneur space?
Yeah, and what I do is I start with mentorship first on how extremely important that actually is, so you can kind of miss some of the potholes that entrepreneurship or business or just life is going to hand you anyway. So just having a mentor will allow you to actually supersede other individuals who don't have mentors or individuals who are lacking in certain areas. Because the good thing about a mentor, typically they already experience what you're going through, because most things in business are pretty much the same. Most things in networking are pretty much the same, just in general. So having a mentor is very crucial to your success, and it can make a big difference between you making $100,000 to $2 million.
Right.
Wow.
That's a great point, because a lot of people kind of missed or have so many egos when it comes to wanting to do things on their own and feel like they know everything. But sir, ma'am, you ain't got it. You'll be there.
Yes.
So
let's
piggyback off of that. And let me ask you this. So because you had a mentor, what are things that you didn't expect in your journey for entrepreneurship that came up that you felt that hindered your decision to continue to be as successful as you are now?
And I want to make sure I got the question correct. So what are some things that hindered me? Are you saying before I got a mentor?
No, so what are things that you didn't expect in your journey that hindered you? Yeah.
Honestly, the emotional side that comes with, being an entrepreneur or just being in business or having a team. You really have to learn to channel your emotions, and that can be, emotions is good. They can be bad. They can be frustrating, whatever it is. You can be overly happy and you can be spending too much because you feel great. I learned that lesson the hard way, actually. Yeah. So my mentor definitely have taught me, like, hey, money doesn't work that way. Just because you're happy or just because you're sad doesn't mean the money is going to replenish itself. So you cannot do that. But also at the same time, with the emotional intelligence, no matter how frustrating your team gets with you or how frustrating you get with your team, you got to be able to balance your emotions and actually achieve the goal. Because if you're emotional with your team, they're going to give you back emotions, and you kind of don't want that conflict there. So it's like almost setting the emotional stage, which is very stressful, and I'm still learning it today. So
how did
process.
how did you hone in your emotions? Like, what were some things that you had to do to hone in your emotions?
And that's a super good question, and I'm still learning to really balance my emotions as well. But one of the things that I had to learn to do is read myself and
Interesting.
understand where I am
Self-awareness.
at. Yeah, the self-awareness was a big one. And then also take the noise away from anytime my team was seeing something either aggressively rude or overly happy, just listening to the words instead of listening to all the noise that's around it. The noise is very important, because it lets you know if they're feeling good, feeling happy, and feeling sad. But the main meat is I want to make sure I understand the actual message that's coming through for my team.
That's good. That's good.
No, I love that because I feel like team dynamics can always be so different. And so kind of navigating that world is always, it can be a struggle for sure, but it seems like you're handling it, really well. But kind of piggybacking off of that from your experience, what has kind of been the hardest thing that you've kind of encountered when running a team of employees?
The hardest managing the team, really managing the team's emotions. I would lead it back to the emotions, and because your team have a personal life as well, so you actually have to manage that. And I did not know that. I did not know that me having a team and what affects them and their personal life will affect the business. So now I'm involved in their personal life in order for the business to grow as well. So I am still learning that to this day. That is super challenging for me because I'm so used to being by myself and not being nosy.
Right.
I'm simply minding the business that pays me. So I'm like, but I have to be nosy with my team though.
Right. Absolutely.
Because if their personal life is so if their personal life is not good, then you may not be a good fit for the ARC Network group to be a team member, because we got to have that balance there.
Right.
That's good.
It's a great way to kind of look at it. Yeah.
So I know we had a conversation over the phone before, man. And
Yes.
I remember, because you just mentioned that, I remember you saying it's a vibe check to be in the network. And I know you're big on vibes, big on energy. What does that process look like? Because somebody could be admitted into the group, but then the energy starts to shift because they feel like they get big headed. So how do you address conflict and situations like that as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, and as a leader?
And that's a really good question. And I would say that's like a tough question because it's always a growing process with that. But to try to really answer that question is we do check-ins with our members, right? We just want to really make sure, how you're doing, how you're feeling, and just kind of remind you that you're an entrepreneur. And in my head, and this is just for me, entrepreneur means, low and high. There's no job too low for you. There's no job too high for you. So if I need to be the janitor that day, I'm the janitor. If I need to be, the technician that day, I'm the technician. So if I need to be running the company that day, I'm running the company that day. So I try to remind, entrepreneurs or anybody that is in, the hot seat or the driver's seat, like, hey, like, you can't be high chested because you won't grow the way you think you would grow, because your team feeds off that high chest. And if it's too high, it's not going to be relatable. Right. If it's too low, people are going to look at you as in less than. So it's really about finding that medium there and slightly being vulnerable. And honestly, entrepreneurship is very shitty. It's not pretty. Like it's a mess.
It is a mess.
So, yeah,
I agree. So let me ask you this too, because we're on the the realm of your business. Now,
yes,
the slogan is very catchy, right?
Okay, nice.
We're trying to figure out ways on how that makes sense and where'd you get the idea from. So give us a brief understanding of that and give us the process of how you came up with that slogan.
The slogan "Bridging the Gap Between You and Your Business Go" actually started when I was in college, because the slogan really was bridging the gap between one generation and the next generation. That was the original slogan, actually. And the reason why was because me and well, a couple of my friends had previously graduated, but we, as you know, we chit chat, we still stay in communication with each other. We was learning that they was working at Red Lobster, Applebee's, moving to different states, but wasn't getting actual jobs that was fitted for their degree. And it was because lack of experience. But the main thing, it wasn't really lack of experience. There was gatekeepers, and that's when there was one generation that kept all the secrets and kept all the doors locked. So the other generation really couldn't get in. So that was a really struggle for a lot of kids that was graduating college. And then with our generation, we have the most debt. So we definitely need those bridges to help us better off. So as I moved to Orlando, I changed the slogan more to fit businesses and more to brand them, because I realized, hey, if we can get the business off the ground with our generations, then we are the new gatekeepers.
That's true.
In that type of way. So it kind of worked in that way.
Awesome.
That's amazing. And I love how you're kind of giving us a behind the scenes of kind of the life of an entrepreneur. Because honestly, that's what we're trying to do on this platform, because we want to let everyone know, it's not just the rainbows and sunshines of being an entrepreneur with what you normally see on TikTok or Instagram and things like that. So it's great to kind of see, obviously there are going to be low days that might be lower than somebody in a corporate business, but obviously the high ends are just as great or better. So definitely, I appreciate you being so honest about your journey as well.
Yeah, no, of course. I want to be authentic with it. And I tell people, this is going to sound so like messed up, but if you would have gave me a piece of paper and said, these are all the things I would have gone through on my entrepreneur journey, I would have said no. I flat out would have said no, and I wouldn't have done it, just because it's such a mess. And once you get so deep in, you really can't come out. You can't just leave. You can't just up and leave, especially when you have a team, and that team is depending on a paycheck. So it can make it a little different, and it also makes it more sleepless nights. And I know my team count on me to deliver that paycheck every Friday. So it's a fight. I'm still fighting. Yeah.
No, it's definitely great to hear, though, because I think people go through these different challenges and they might quit, or they might, hit a block and be like, okay, let me return to my previous life, but in that way, you're kind of showing them, you can still make it through the different obstacles, and having those mentors, having that community that you seem to be building in your own business too, seems so amazing to kind of have in their own space as well. So that's awesome. You seem to always be on the go, in a sense. After a hard week of working and being in business, what do you do to wind down?
No, that's a really good question. It's funny. I'm a TikTok whore. I love TikTok.
Love to see it.
So there's a couple of things that I do. There's only really two. I watch anime. And,
no way, dude. I would never guess that.
Yeah. And, a lot of people say this, a lot of people say, you really watch anime? I was just like, yeah, which was some recommendations? I can let you know.
I got top 5, figuring it out.
So right now I'm watching The 1,000-Year War, which is a Bleach anime. Bleach been out for, decades since I'm a kid. But also too, I watch TikTok. But I don't want you to think that I'm watching them. I'm watching them to de-stress, but they're learning lessons too. So when I'm watching my anime, typically a lot of shows that I watch is a lot with structure, command, leadership, and talent, and going through struggle times. And it's typically like most anime is either emotional or very action. So, but also a lot of anime that I watch, it has leaderships in it. Like it has like head captains and structure behind the captains and what the captains go through. It really lets you know that leaders are really technically alone. So it kind of keeps me in the fight. So it keeps me in the fight when I'm watching those. I'm like, ooh, I know I'm alone because I'm also the only child. So it keeps me in the fight watching those shows, and then also being able to watch TikTok and see people actually real life, because it's a lot different than Instagram. I feel like Instagram's a little more flashier, but I like it. Yeah, those are my two things that I do to wind down when I'm done for the day.
That's awesome, man. I can piggyback off of that, because once I saw this particular movie called Jobs, and it was like a memoir of Steve Jobs and Apple and this company. But the way he just he didn't know what to do. He had nothing to do with technology. He was just a creative. but he understood how to articulate his passion. He understood how to articulate the creativity, the experience that you'll reach when you get the product. It all comes together with leadership. So that's beautiful,
Yes.
man. So what are two things that you wish you could have done differently to kind of jumpstart your journey as an entrepreneur?
Um, that's a really good question. I was going to give the question off the top of my head, actually. Like I was going to respond with the one on top of my head. So honestly, I was responding with the one on top of my head. I wish I would have taken care of myself more,
What does that
you
look like?
know, and yeah, and what that looks like is the emotional side, right? And making sure I'm, getting the correct people to pour into my cup.
Mm-hmm.
And I do understand that some people take different fuel, and I know I need premium fuel to be poured in my cup.
I
Oh,
love
you're a
that. Yeah.
Ferrari.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I wish I would have done. Definitely. But I'm working on that now. And then the other thing I probably wish I would have done, transparency, is, maybe stuck more to my budget and not got emotional with the budget.
Right.
Just because, that turning wheels now as we're getting close to our big event, we're like, oh man, like, dang, like maybe we shouldn't have bought this, that, and this because we didn't need it.
Yeah.
But there was emotional tie to that. So definitely those are two of the things that, I'm working on for 2024 as we're rolling into that year.
That's awesome, man. That's a big time goal. So because we mentioned your event, what was the process and how did you think about doing a gala instead of a regular networking event? Because I know you do those so often, but a gala is big time, man. Black
Yeah,
tie,
that's
everybody
exciting.
suited and booted,
Yeah.
nice. Everybody look like they got money, but you get the vibe. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that question. So, and I'll be super transparent. So, I have a big imagination, like huge. Like I have expectations that I know are unrealistic to some people. But if we're talking to LeBron and Beyonce, they're like right in that alley, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was previously, so how, I'm a backtrack. Sorry. So our members were starting to ask us, hey, how do we meet other individuals? How do we start connecting? And we're like, we don't throw events. I don't know what to tell you all. Like that's just not us.
Mm-hmm.
But I started to go to more events, and I was like, okay, you know what? This is a networking event. I was like, oh, this is decent. I was like,
Not
this is,
decent.
this is well. And again, remember, I have big expectations, right? So it's just my expectations, right? So I
Right,
was like,
right.
this is decent. And then I just told myself, like, hey, like, are you really, going to do this? And I had just got out of a relationship, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put my all into my business. I'm gonna put my soul into my business. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna throw an event that people our age cannot do, and I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but that is my vision. And once I get to speaking about something and I start working on it, doesn't matter if I have $5, $10, $1,000,000, is I gotta make it work somehow. So yeah, like that was the overall thing. I just wanted to have an event that was going to let Orlando know that hey, this company is new, but they're very serious. They are young, but they're very serious, and we are here to compete and we're here to dominate. And that's how we end up getting, the sponsorship through Goldman Sachs, Advent Health, King Capital, Total Health, CMR, and Care Management Resources. And then we was published on Times Square, as we was on Times Square as well, and then we was published 3 times for that exact event. The overall for the event was to really do a marketing, to let people know that we're here. But then also too, my parents and my friends say, Dwayne, you're super competitive. So also I wanted to let other people know who was throwing events was this is the event. Like this is
Right.
the event that you want to be at. And we're not, on the same level, we're the umbrella. And that's what I wanted people to understand. Like, hey, like we're super humble over here, but we're not on the same level. We're the umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
So and having an event like that kind of allow people
Set the
to
tone.
know without having to say. Yeah.
Yep. Set the tone.
Wow. So kind of for all the dreamers like you out there and our listeners and everything like that, what would you tell them are a few good, like solid steps to start their vision? Because obviously at some point you started from, just an idea of what you wanted to get done and everything. What would you tell them would be a few great steps to kind of get their feet grounded?
I would tell them to fail forward. Fail forward. Like that is the best thing you can do. I've had my legs chopped off. I've had my arms chopped off. Not literally, but you know,
We get what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, when I lost my business partner, you know, that was devastating to me. I cried like for 2 days straight. Like I would never forget that. I would say fail forward. In your business, you can always fix whatever's wrong. And just know that you're enough. And what I mean by you're enough is you may not be the person who knows the social media management, content management, website development, business strategist, but you can connect and find people who can do this and put them part of your team. And that's exactly what I did. I didn't know none of those things, but I'm good with people, good at building relationships. So I pull these people in. I will say fail forward. Just start. Don't overthink it. Do not overthink it. And then also another thing is I would say is it's okay to not be the smartest person in the room, and don't feel intimidated by other entrepreneurs, because we're all going through the fucking same shit. Like we're all going through something. Like, we're all going through something. Like, so no matter what, somebody's going through something. If, you know, if their business is doing amazing, maybe their personal life is not, you know, there's always something. And remember, everybody is human. That's the biggest thing, is everybody is human. Everybody make mistakes. And another thing is just be honest. Be honest. Be honest. If you make a mistake, live up to the mistake, own the mistake. That builds relationships.
So you guys heard it here first. Don't stop on your dreams. Keep going. Because obviously, you know, we've all hit those walls and everything. But obviously, if you keep pushing, obviously, it's not super easy to, but you can reach some goals. So kind of going off of that, you've had a lot of successful events in the past. Have there been times where you felt like it would fall through? And if so, how did you relax yourself and your brain and everything to get back going to have the best event that you could have?
That is a really good question. And I've always felt like it was going to fall through.
Tiptoeing around it. Crossing your fingers.
Yeah. So, because the thing about events is I prepare for them very well. I try my best to prepare for them very well, but you just never know how it's going to turn out until you get to those tickets, or until you get to that second week, you know, when people start really buying tickets. But the best thing that I do is really prepare my team and have expectations. Like, so I always go by my expectations. It's always very nervous, and you know, I'm always nervous on what people are going to think about the event. I'm always super nervous on how many people are going to show up, or who's going to like pretty much drag our name in the dirt, even though we're not doing anything bad. Everybody has their own expectations. So yeah, I'm always very nervous. Like, I'm very nervous about the Black Tie Gala as we speak. But one thing that I have learned is people are going to say what they want to say, and most people who say the and I'm going to steal this line from somebody: people who have the least say the most.
Say it again. That's going to be your quote. That's the quote that's going on
great.
there.
Love that.
You sound like a poet.
Say the most, and that's what I started to register. And I'm just like, like, so I actually, when it comes down to events, I typically don't listen to other people anymore. Just because. I'm sorry. Say it again.
I said, why is that? Is it because your standard is so high and people don't necessarily understand the vision that you have?
Yes, that is one of the things. And then also too, people don't understand the money that's going behind the event. So when they make suggestions, like, you know, I'm like, okay, that doesn't really help the event. That helps you as an individual, but it doesn't help the group as a whole. And most people are thinking of themselves as individuals and not thinking as a whole aspect. So sometimes when you ask somebody their opinion is typically for themselves and not as a whole. So I love feedback, but I never really ask people feedback over the overall event. I just say, like, hey, what would you like to see? And I narrow it down like that. One, so my feelings won't be crushed. And then two, so they can pretty much vocalize like what they want to see, instead of putting everybody in a hole, or instead of like singling out certain things.
So when you say ask them, quote unquote, is it the people that's coming to the event, or is it the people hoping you plan it?
No, the people who are actually coming and attending the event.
So how do you get that information? Do you just send them emails individually, or do they just chime in and put their 2 cents in, or what?
Surprisingly, some people just call and put their 2 cents in. Like, you know,
that's funny. That's funny.
Like, That is like, so my first event ever, I'd be a little more transparent. So my first event ever, I got 3 calls the next day, which was on a Sunday, and I'll never forget. And it was like, it was telling me how well the event went, but then they wanted to raise some concerns about what they wanted to see more. And one of the things was like, they wanted more dessert. It was like, women love dessert. There should have been dessert there. Another one was like, there was no dancing. We should have been dancing. I don't appreciate that no one was up, not moving around. And then also the certain kind of liquor, we didn't have a couple different bourbons that they was missing out on. So they was really anal about that. So I was like, okay, I understand that. But those are personal things that people are looking for. And then also sometimes people don't understand the level of the event. And at our events at the Arc, we're not a dancing type of vibe. We're here to shake hands, get business cards, and exchange numbers and make some money. We're not here to, pop, lock, and drop it in that type of way. And if we are, downtown's right here, so you can always just, go to the club. But we definitely got some things. But when people hear that, oh, that was my first event ever, they immediately say, oh, you know what? You did well. That was perfect. Like, they immediately like, okay, oh, wow, that was your first event. They immediately kind of like, oh, you did really well. So it's a pros and cons to the event world. But most of the times people who criticize typically don't throw events.
That's true.
So they don't understand from your perspective. And definitely, like, personally, from my own experience, I'm very much of a people pleaser. So that's great to kind of hear your insight on that, because I think definitely I sometimes think about what other people are thinking about what I'm doing and things of that nature. But it's great to kind of hear that you can kind of block it off. And I'm trying to do that more, as we speak, but definitely a personal thing that I feel like has some roadblocks for me in general. But it's great to see that you're kind of moving past that for sure.
Yeah, one thing about Dwayne. That's one thing about Dwayne. He don't care about nobody's opinion.
He gonna do it regardless. To be more like that. That is great. So throughout this whole podcast that we've been doing so far, you've been talking a lot about emotional growth and checking in with yourself. Kind of on that same note, what would you say is your purpose? And that can be within yourself, within your business. What has kind of been driving you in that way?
No, that's a good question. So, and follow me on this one a little bit, because I don't want to word it wrong.
You're good.
So my purpose is, bettering and growing myself, but bringing other individuals along on the journey to do the same. And what that means is, me building up myself, taking care of myself, but then also showing other individuals to do the same and inspiring them to do the same as well. Really just being in the driver's seat of my own personal life, because I realized, a lot of individuals, including myself at one point, was in the passenger seat, still stepping on the brakes or still pressing on the pretend brakes or the gas and not really controlling the steering wheel in that type of way. So definitely my purpose is, bettering myself, helping myself, but inspiring others to do the same.
Wow, that's great.
That's really good. So
thank you.
Because you're such an inspiration to others in your team and your members, who is someone that inspires you?
I would say my dad. My dad definitely inspired. Like, I definitely look up to him just because that's the person I can see the most.
Yeah.
And then also too, like, as I'm getting older, I will say my mom too. Yeah, like my mom would be the newest one.
Why do you say that's the newest one? Like, what happened?
Well, so at first she wasn't on that list because I couldn't see what she do, because I can see what my dad do. But as you get older, you start to register, oh wow, like, this is because of you. Like, and the fact that I could not see it, you did very well at it. And most of the times, and as I'm getting older, parents go through so much that they hide from the kid and they have to make sacrifices. And we blame the parent for certain things when they was making a sacrifice to make things better. So I would definitely say my mom and definitely say my dad.
That's
wow,
awesome.
That's amazing. I think, yeah, definitely, behind those closed doors, you don't know what's happening until you do get older. And it is so crazy to see how much your parents do sacrifice for you in different ways. And was your dad in a similar industry, or was he in a completely different place?
No, no, my dad's in a completely different space.
Okay.
My dad works in healthcare, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so he works in healthcare. Before what he does now, our family owns Total Health, which is 14 14 medical centers, and then care management resources as well with about 10,000 patients.
Nice.
So we love the healthcare space, also heavy in real estate. I don't know if you know what Cano Health is, but now he's the CEO of Cano Health. Cano Health ended up buying out my family company, and he ended up pretty much buying out some of the board members and the CEO and becoming the CEO of Cano Health. So Cano Health is worth like $4 billion right now.
Wow.
So it's definitely a change there, but no, we're in completely different spaces. Actually, my dad would love for me to be in that space with him.
So is there
how was
any
it for you?
advice?
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. So
You go for it. You go for it.
Is there any advice that he gives you now that you can kind of use from the healthcare space to what you're doing now, or no?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, because one thing. Yes, there is. Because when it comes down to entrepreneurship, pretty much all the things, most of it's the same when you're at that level or at that top panel. So one of the things he taught me, is to be an outlier, which is funny. I'm reading a book called Outlier.
Me too.
Oh wow!
Oh,
Yeah,
I was just about to ask you what books are you
crazy.
reading, and I should have asked them.
Yeah, I'm reading a book called The Outlier right now. But also he's really taught me to battle my emotions, and kind of keep them tight. Fortunately and unfortunately, my dad is very tough, right?
Mhm.
Very tough. So he can be a little out of touch sometimes to my reality, just because he sees me as his son and wants to follow those footsteps. In a way, but definitely I would say handling my emotions and making sure I'm not overly spending and making sure I challenge the spending and making sure I'm maximizing my dollar. He's really heavy on that.
Wow, that's awesome. And kind of in that same space too, you're talking about your dad in a different industry. How is it for you being the first entrepreneur in your immediate family? Because I know sometimes there's some battles as to, you should stay in this industry or you should be here or do this. How did you kind of handle that in your own personal situation?
Well, it was a little ugly mess at first. So when I was working for my dad at the time, and actually, Dad didn't really know that I had started a company, or he didn't realize the size of the company until he actually came to the Black Tie Gala and fundraiser. So that was his first time actually seeing me work like as my own company and actually seeing like what I've been doing. But it was a little sticky. I was very nervous and scared, only because like I knew my dad really wanted me to run the Orlando and the Tampa region, and I actually started this area and got it up to about $2 million within my first year.
Wow.
So I knew it was going to be sticky, me trying to really do my own thing. One, because you know it's I look at my dad as my boss still, right? He was technically my boss, right? So we have that son and father, but we also have that boss relationship. So it's like your boss is funding your next project and your boss doesn't know. So if you take the dad part away, right? So if you take the dad part away, it's just like, okay, you're starting another business on the side, but you're also working on company hours at the same time. So it's very tedious because sometimes I would get calls from doctors and stuff like that, and I would be trying to like go to events and then also take these calls, and it was very tedious. But I think once he seen my Black Tie Gala, it was on. Like it was like completely different. He was just like, oh, like this is like a legitimate company that you really care about. And then that's when I ended up telling him like, I'm gonna pretty much leave, the company. And he was just like, but you're not making enough money. And I was like, well, the only way I'm going to make enough money is if I leave. So I'm going to be eating rice for a little bit. So,
the sacrifices have to happen.
Yeah, the sacrifices. But yeah, that's kind of how that went. Still very nervous about it because, businesses fell within the first 5 years and we're still very new. So I don't want to be a failure either at the same time.
No, you're doing an incredible job, man, so far. I went to your
Thank
lunch
you.
and learn, and you went into your story about how difficult it was. You say, what do you name it?
The shits. The shits. Yes, it's like because it's very shitty. Like it's not pretty. Like it's not pretty at all. Like it's not.
But no,
Yes,
that's amazing, man. So I'm extremely happy for your success, and I'm happy for how much further you'll be going in your journey. And
Thank you.
as much as I can do to help you, I'll be doing it because I'm a huge supporter of you and your company because I was first to
Thank you.
experience the networking environment that you create is a safe space. It's very professionally ran. It's to the T, the details. I'm a stickler of watching people when they move. And I saw you like directing your employees to make sure they're doing certain things the right way at the right time. And I'm exactly the same way. So we relate on a lot of things, man. So
perfect. I love it. I love it. And the same thing, I'm definitely here to support you, what you got going on. And, we can always broadcast you to, our members or get, quality people that you feel that'd be good to speak on, your platform in that type of way as well. I look at it as like there's win-win situations for everybody and anybody.
That's crazy because I have at the lunch and learn that I went to, I have we have Alonzo this week.
Nice.
Alonzo Williams this week.
Yes, we're excited.
Then we have a call with Eric tomorrow.
Okay, nice.
To get him on board too. So
nice. See, look
at making it happen. You're the liaison. You're the bridge.
The network is networking, so we love to see it.
The network is networking. I love it. I definitely love it.
No, and we've loved hearing your story too, because I feel like it can really resonate with a lot of people getting into this business and just trying to figure out where to go from A to B or A to C or whatever their journey may be. And kind of on that same line, as you know, it is our mission here to serve our listeners. So what are some things you believe that we can improve on the Luminary panel?
That is a loaded question. And what I mean by that is like up front, it seems as of right now, I can't think of anything. So up front, I cannot think of anything. Yeah, so I cannot think of anything right now. But I also know how crucial that feedback is, right? So because I asked that same question to be like, wait, you got to give me something. I promise to give you something in a couple of days. But as of right now, I think it's I had ended up getting the itinerary a couple of days prior before. You all checked in, a couple of days prior before, and then also a couple of hours before as well. And then the timing was perfect, super great energy. I don't see anything that needs to be fixed right now.
Perfect.
Well, thank you. That's
we appreciate that, man.
We're trying to improve and grow as we go. So definitely feedback at some point for sure.
And the energy for both individuals, for both you are very inviting. So that makes it a lot easier as well. And then when you're having a male and a female, it kind of breaks the ice up a little bit. So so I get into details, right? Even when having the different cultures makes it a little more easy for some individuals as well. So it's spot on.
Perfect. Wow. I'm glad you said that, man, because I had a list of people. I'll tell you. Let's go right into it. So, hey, we're supposed to end it, but dang, never mind. So, I posted a job site on LinkedIn, and she is actually one of the first people that was on the resume thing or whatever the case is. So, what happened was I looked through them. I said, they don't look marketable. She does. They don't. So she was the first and only person I reached out to be on the show. So, and my intentions, I didn't do it. I didn't even know that she was gonna be my co-host until like I had a real conversation with her. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna need her as my co-host. You know what I mean? Like it just made more sense to do it. So
yeah.
But yeah, we appreciate you, man, for being on the show. We're excited about your feedback.
I had a good time. Yes.
And tell people where they can find you on social media.
No, perfect. So for all my social media is going to be Dwayne J. Kent. That's from Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn. For the ARC Network Group is going to be the ARC Network Group. And that's also going to be, all our social media from, LinkedIn to Facebook to Instagram. Don't follow us on TikTok just yet. We're still pushing that side. So, but you can look at it.
Progress.
Yeah, work in progress. But no, that's definitely where the social media is. You can always find me anywhere there. So Dwayne J. Kent or at the ARC Network Group.
That's great. And kind of on our end too, make sure you follow, and subscribe to at Luminary Panel on Instagram, TikTok. We now have a Twitch app and a few different platforms. So definitely follow us, and for future content, we will be there.
Yes, sir. And that's a wrap. I'm Chauncey Jennings.
I'm Liliana Fidua.
With the Luminary Panel, and we're super excited to, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just happy. God dang. We'll see y'all later. We'll see y'all in the next episode. Peace
Yeah,
out.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
We love
I love
it.
it. I love it. I definitely.